Namaste, children. Today we are going to see in History, Chapter 2, From Trade to Territory, the company establishes power. In introduction, we are going to see in search of sea routes towards the east, several people from the western countries like the British, French, Dutch, and Portuguese started sea voyages. They naturally became rivals of each other. In this struggle for power, Britain emerged victorious and transformed itself from a trading company to an imperialist nation that ruled India for nearly 200 years. Aurangzeb was the last of the powerful Mughal rulers. He established control over a very large part of the territory that is now known as India. After his death in 1707, many Mughal governors, that is Subadars and big zamindars, began asserting their authority and establishing regional kingdoms. As powerful regional kingdoms emerged in various parts of India, Delhi could no longer function as an effective center. By the second half of the 18th century, however, a new power was emerging on the political horizon, that is, the British. Bahadur Shah Jafar and his sons being arrested by Captain Hodson. After Aurangzeb, there was no powerful Mughal ruler, but Mughal emperors continued to be symbolically important. In fact, when a massive rebellion against British rule broke out in 1857, Bahadur Shah Jafar, the Mughal emperor at the time, was seen as the natural leader. Once the revolt was put on by the company, Bahadur Shah Jafar was forced to leave the kingdom and his sons were shot in cold blood. In 1600, the East India Company acquired a charter from the ruler of England, Queen Elizabeth I, granting it the sole right to trade with the East. This meant that no other trading group in England could compete with the East India Company. The company did not have to fear competition from other English trading companies. Mercantile trading companies in those days made profit primarily by excluding competition so that they could buy cheap and sell dear. The first English ships sailed down the west coast of Africa, round the Cape of Good Hope, and crossed the Indian Ocean. The Portuguese, led by their captain Vasco da Gama, landed in Calicut, that is present day Kozhikode, in 1498. The Portuguese had already established their presence in the western coast of India and had their base in Goa. Vasco da Gama, when the day landed in Calicut, was to meet the local ruler of Calicut called Zamorin. That he wants to buy famous Malabar spices and he also requests for permission to do trade. What do you mean by mercantilism? Yes. In the 17th and the 18th centuries, the European rulers started protecting their country's trade from foreign competition to increase trade profits. This policy is known as mercantilism. In other words, mercantilism means business enterprise that mainly makes profit by buying goods at a cheap rate and selling them at a higher rate. Example, the European rulers sought for colonies where raw material could be bought cheap and finished products could be sold at a high price. The Portuguese became the first Europeans to carry Indian spices. Indian spices, silk, textile, indigo were very much in demand in Europe. During the medieval period, Arab traders controlled this trade through the sea route. In order to get the Indian goods, which were much in demand in Europe, the Western traders decided to find a new sea routes to India. The first European trader to discover a new sea route to India were the Portuguese. They were followed by the Dutch, the English, and finally the French. All of them formed trading companies. Their primary aim was to capture the profit rising markets of Asia. The English developed markets in Europe for a variety of Indian produce, including indigo. Europeans found a big demand for fine quality hand-loomed Indian textiles. The demand for Indian fabric such as chintz, calico, and muslin also increased rapidly. This picture is painted by William Simpson, 1867, where local boats bring goods from ships in Madras. Now, we will look detailed aspects of the East India Company establishing its rule over India. The efforts made by the company is spread over 200 years, that is from the 1600 till the 1800s. The events began in the year 1610 when the company first established post in Surat by chasing away a Portuguese naval squad, and the events end in the year 1857 when the Great Revolt of India took place 4 years after establishing its first post in India. The company officials, Sir Thomas Roe, got permission to set up factories from the Mughal Empire Jahangir. In the year 1651, the first English factory was set up on the banks of the river Hooghly in Bengal. This factory became the base at which all the company traders operated. As trade expanded, the traders and merchants moved near to the factory. In 1698, the factory was fortified to Fort William. 2 years later, the company officials bribed Mughal officials to give zamindari rights over three villages, that is, Gobindpur, Sutanati, Kalikata. Kalikata and Govindpur were joined together to form a new city, Calcutta, now known as Kolkata. The factory at Sutanati was also fortified and renamed as Fort William. The company officials also persuaded Aurangzeb, who was a Mughal emperor, to issue a royal order allowing the company the right to trade duty free. This royal order was often called as the Farman. The company officials often misused this Farman. Some of them carried on privateering but refused to pay taxes to the government. This brought about many conflicts between the Nawab of Bengal and the company, and these conflicts led to one of the famous battles of the Indian history, the Battle of Plassey. When the Aurangzeb died in the early 1700s, the Nawabs of Bengal asserted their power and autonomy. Murshid Quli Khan was the one of the first Nawabs to do so. He was succeeded by Alivardi Khan, who was succeeded by Sirajullah Khan. Murshid Quli Khan was a strong ruler. He refused to grant the concessions demanded, tributes for the company, right to trade. He also denied rights to mint coins. He even accused the company of deceit. When Alivardi Khan was also died in 1756, Sirajullah Khan became the Nawab of Bengal. Company, being scared of his power, tried to help one of the Sirajullah rivals to become the Nawab, but it failed. Siraj could anger and got strict with the company and asked them to pay revenue to stop fortification where negotiations failed. The Nawab marched with some 30,000 soldiers to the English factories at Kazim Bazar and captured. Company officials locked the warehouses, disarmed all Englishmen, and blockaded English ships. Then he marched to Calcutta. The French and the English fought for the control of the trade and territories of India. Taking advantage of the decline of the Mughal Empire and the political instability in South India, the French and the British fought three wars to control trade. These wars are called the Carnatic Wars. First Carnatic War, 1746 to 1748. In 1742, a war broke out in Europe between France and England. The war also spread to India, where the British and the French companies clashed with each other. When the war ended in Europe in 1748, it ended in India too. The war exposed the weakness of the rulers of South India. It was shameful that the Nawab of Carnatic had failed to stop a war in his own territory. Dupleix, the governor of the French company, was very capable and he attacked Fort St. George in Madras and he decided to take full advantage of the unstable political condition of South India and increase French political influence in the south. Second Carnatic War 1749 to 1754. In 1748, when rulers of both Carnatic and Hyderabad died, Dupleix decided to intervene in the wars of success that had started both in Carnatic and Hyderabad and set up puppet rulers in these two states who would serve in the interests of the French. Naturally, the British too had their ambitions and would not allow the French to get an upper hand. They also wanted to set up their puppet rulers in these states. Under the able leadership of Robert Clive, a young clerk in the British East India Company, the British managed to defeat the French finally and made Muhammad Ali, the Nawab of Carnatic, their nominee. The French government accepted defeat and signed a peace treaty. They also accepted the British demand that Dupleix must be sent back to France. This was a big blow to the future of the French company in India. The Second Carnatic War boosted the prestige of the British and led to the establishment of British control over Carnatic. Third Carnatic War 1757 to 1763. The temporary peace between the British and the French companies ended in India when another war broke out between them in Europe. At the very beginning of this war, the English managed to gain control over Bengal after the victory in the Battle of Plassey 1757. Now, the British could use the rich resources of Bengal to overpower the French. The French, on the other hand, were handicapped due to constant shortage of funds. Finally, the French were defeated by Sir Ercrouet in 1760. The war in India ended with the end of the war in Europe in 1763. The Third Carnatic War shattered French dreams of building their empire in India. Pondicherry and other French settlements were returned to the French, but they could not build forts or station troops in these territories. They could serve only as centers of trade and had to live in India under the protection of the British. The English now established their political influence over Carnatic. Freed of all European rivals, they could now get set for the task of conquering India. What are the factors that lead to the Battle of Plassey? And what are the reasons for the defeat of Sirajudullah Khan in the Battle of Plassey? The East India Company fleet a large fee demanded by the Nawabs and the local rulers to carry on trade was unfair. They also felt the enlargement of settlements, buying the villages and building forts which were banded by Nawabs were necessary for the expansions of their trade. What the company want to do so? Yes, they want a puppet ruler who could act for their favor. So, they were trying to replace a Nawab of Bengal, that is Sirajudullah Khan, with one of his rivals. This angered Siraj and he ordered to the company to stop interfering in his government affairs. He also ordered the company to stop fortifying their settlements and he was asking them to pay the regular taxes. When the company is failed to accept his demands, the Nawab marched with his 30,000 men and took control of Kazim Bazar and Calcutta Fort. And he also cut off all supplies and supports to the company ships. To aid to the company armed forces were sent from Madras under the leadership of Robert Clive. The company's naval fleet was also sent. Robert Clive defeated the Nawab of Sirajudullah Khan at a place called Plassey in 1757. The main reason of Siraj's defeat was Mir Jafar. He was one of his commanders who turned traitor and never fought the battle. Robert Clive promised Mir Jafar that he would be Nawab after the Siraj for his service. Mir Jafar became the next Nawab of Bengal, but the company used Mir Jafar as a puppet and forced him to follow the company's instructions. Thus, Nawab had the position only for the namesake and the real power was in the hands of British. The Battle of Plassey became famous because it was the first major victory the company won in India. Battle of Buxar 1764. When Mir Jafar could not meet the ever growing demands of the company, he was deposed and replaced by Mir Qasim as the Nawab of Bengal. But Mir Qasim refused to be puppet ruler. He tried to improve the administration of Bengal and its army. He trained his soldiers on the lines of the European army. He also tried to stop the corrupt trade practices of the company officials. As a result, he was overthrown and turned out of Bengal and Bihar. In the Battle of Buxar, fought between the British and Mir Qasim, the latter formed an alliance with the Nawab of Awadh, Shuja-ud-Dullah, and the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. Their combined army met the British forces at the Battle of Buxar in 1764, where the English defeated them. Thus, while in Plassey, the British defeated a young and inexperienced Nawab, and that too through treachery. In Buxar, the British defeated three powerful and battle-hard rulers. After this battle, the powerful Nawab of Awadh was left at the mercy of the British. The Mughal emperor became a prisoner of the British. From the Nawab of Bengal, the British got the right of Diwani or the right to collect the land revenue of Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha. Thus, a dual government was established in Bengal, where British collected land revenue, but the internal administration of maintaining law and order and defense of the state remained with the Nawab. Thus, Nawab had a lot of responsibilities except for financial power that was with the British. Now, the rich revenues collected from the Bengal province could easily meet the expenses of the East India Company, especially in matters of trade and maintenance of the troops. The British became greedy. They wanted to lead the life of Nawabs. After the Battle of Plassey, the actual Nawabs were forced to give land and vast sums of money to the officials as gifts. Here, Nabobs, which means they want to live the life of Nawabs. Robert Clive himself was corrupted. Within 23 years of Robert Clive coming to India, he had huge amount of money. He was asked to remove the corruption when he was governor of Bengal himself, but he was himself corrupted. However, this cannot be said for all of officials of the East India Company. Some of them with just to make comfortable, so some may have money and went back to England and lead a happy life. In this lesson, we have covered the first 100 years of the company fighting to seek its rule in India. The rest of the topics will be seen in the part 2 video. Thank you.